Fuck, I love darts. Oh, Will, I didn't see you there. Do you want to do the intro?
Yeah, sure. Today's episode, we talk to Nelson from POW Negro. We talk all things about the band, also about immigration and his interest in film and theatre. This is a really good episode, guys. We're pretty happy with the production and the conversation that we had. You guys can catch us on Instagram at Layman's Podcast and also on Facebook. And if you enjoy the episode, subscribe to our channel. Sweet. Oh man, Nelson Mondlane in the studio. What's going on?
Not much. Yeah, just chilling.
Yeah, just off the back of 2 hometown shows, hey?
Yeah.
At Mojo's.
Yeah, fucking, it was huge. It was very, very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And lovely.
So pretty awesome then, because you've been sort of going around the country. You've been over east, and then pretty sweet to come back. And I think you initially have one show, and then it sold out in like 3 days, and then you did the second one.
That's a good feeling.
It was.
Yeah.
It was really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you get up to over east then?
We played a festival in Brisbane called Big Pineapple, and we played the pre-party and the after-party.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they were pretty interesting shows in the sense that, I don't know, they might have not been the best promoted, or for whatever reason, other gigs were on at the same time that people went to and didn't come to the shows that we were at. But shit. It was cool. We met some really sweet acts from like Sydney, this female band called Rackets. Yeah. Racket. Yeah. And they were dope.
Yeah,
really good. And then we also met this cat called Camouflage Rose, who's a rapper from Brisbane. Yeah. Who's huge at the moment. It's like released like 2 songs, and
what's that?
It's like a few million views, and it's on like the world hip hop playlist on Spotify. It's like,
I'm gonna make some notes while we go. On some recommendations.
Yeah.
There's some what's that? He's got one song that I've definitely heard on the radio. Like
Late Nights and Wildflower.
Yeah.
Are the songs he's released. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Late Night. And then you played at Womadelaide. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
Womadelaide?
Yeah, that was crazy.
You met some cool people there as well, hey?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like half the people I idolize were all there.
Yeah.
So, it was surreal, and well, in those situations it's like really hard to kind of convey, or I always feel it's hard to convey how much someone's influenced me, or how many experiences I've had somebody's music.
Trying to tell them that.
Yeah, like meeting like Napalm from like Highest Cody and Thundercat and
Thundercat,
Kamasi Washington. Like it was just sort of not really.
Wow.
It was just didn't think about it too much when I was in the moment, and then it sort of happened and it was gone. But it was so sick. It was so sick. And like the actual if you ever get a chance to go to Womadelaide, the whole festival setup is just insane. Like it's really nice atmosphere in the sense that it's world music. So even though like they're like, and I guess I don't know, maybe like Thundercat and Kamasi Washington, even Hiatus aren't really like huge mainstream acts, but musically and the sound is really progressive and amazing.
Super unique.
Super unique. And just to have like all those people in the same area, as well as like all these amazing, like, you know, you can name it any kind of world genre, like reggae, like to, you know, country specific styles. Yeah, I mean, there's so many, but it was sick. And like the best thing was the crowd really was open to the music and respectful. Like there wasn't, I don't know, I think some of the maybe, I don't want to say Triple J festivals, but like, I don't know, I think people, it's more of a social thing, like, which is fine. Yeah. But Womadelaide, when someone was playing, people were watching and engaging, like kind of just like, oh.
Yeah. I imagine Adelaide would be primed for any festival or anything like that, because a lot of like gigs in that skip Adelaide. Yeah. So they'd be like super keen for like just any sort of music.
Yeah. And they looked after us, like the festival looked after us so well. Like they pretty much flew us from Melbourne to the place, like put us up in the Hilton Hotel. And
damn.
Gave us like $100 just to spend. It was like, what the fuck? Yeah, it was insane. And like, and like Remy and Sampa the Great were there, and they're like reasonable good friends now of ours.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's
It was
awesome.
like really nice to like spend time with those guys. And there was even like, it kind of sucked. Like we played at the same time as Thundercat.
Yeah.
But just before we played, Remy and this other rapper called M for Jones, who does I guess he's like hype manning for Remy for his sets, but also has his own thing. And he's actually like one of the first rappers to rap in Australia.
Yeah.
From like the early 90s, even like late 80s potentially. But that kids like him and Rem were doing like this panel chat like about the evolution of hip hop in Australia, and then how like the evolution of, I guess, more ethnic hip hop in Australia, and like how like migrants and refugees have influenced the direction that everything's going in now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was kind of shit because I was like warming up as they were having this amazing discussion, which was like pretty much like what I wanted to hear, like and like in like every aspect of my life, and particularly with like the direction of POW and like what we were doing. It was just like, oh man, this is like, I can't believe this is happening. And it was like, I was like peeking my head out of the gate and just like trying to like stretch, and the security guy was like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, you don't understand, this is like never gonna get this again, like this is amazing.
Yeah.
But
that sounds amazing, man, because I know a decent amount about like hip hop history in America, but like specifically Australia, I didn't even think about it until then. I was like, oh yeah, it would go back like decades.
Yeah, quite a long time. I mean, yeah. And I think there's a big divide in people who like hip hop in Australia and people who like Australian hip hop.
Yeah.
In this, yeah, and I think it's like often it's like unjust, like the respect for, you know, like obviously the music is important, but regardless of, you know, say what some artists have put out, like to make hip hop like actually like in terms of like live venues and even just like shaping people's tastes. Like there's a lot of people from the country who've put in like their lives arguably like to make that happen. Like even just for me to be able to go and play at a pub and like people will be like, oh yeah, sick. Instead of just like, what the fuck is this? Like, I mean, our music isn't like really, I guess what the trope of Australian hip hop was or was said to be.
But it needs a starting point.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like people like Hunter. I don't know if you guys are acquainted with Hunter from SBX. He was like considered the first rapper in Perth, and SBX the first hip hop crew.
Not familiar, but I should.
Maybe that, but I don't know. It potentially could be that they're the most well known.
Yeah,
because like Draft was a part of that, and I guess I think there's maybe been a few people since Draft who've been welcomed into the group. But I think Draft is like the most notable person to come out of that. Whole sort of scene. Yeah,
Draft.
Yeah, he's about to release an album, or I think he just released something.
Ooh,
yeah,
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's much more history of Australian hip hop, I guess, that goes beyond Hilltop Hoods.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. I guess like for even like I think now like how it must be for those guys, like because the scene is definitely changing a lot, and it definitely seems like a lot of people who I talk to who like hip hop. If you talk to them about like Hilltop Hoods, like listen, so people be like, oh no, fuck those guys. But
there's a place.
Yeah, and like I think in a sense, it'll be interesting to see like how they like maintain their relevancy, if they can or if they do. Like I don't know if they could.
Yeah. Because you're right. The scene is changing. Like you guys and Koi Child, like, I think like, coming up, you guys are the biggest bands right now. I think everyone I talk to that's like up on it, you know, they're like, Koi Child, POW Negro, like that. Definitely.
Yeah. So let's kind of, for people that are watching that don't know POW Negro, let's kind of put you guys into the Australian context a little bit. Like, maybe give us a bit of a brief sort of idea of what POW Negro represents and who you guys are and everything. And
well, there's like POW Negro is like my journey as an MC, or as like thus far, and it's kind of like live is 6 of us, and all the guys in the band, like they all make beats themselves and then bring a song to the band and then we make it into the show. But yeah, like it started through me being asked. I used to play with like a jam group called Casual Sets, which is what Koi Child was before Koi Child became.
Because they were 2 different bands, weren't they? So,
well then, even then. Yeah. So like there was Child's Play and Kashikoi, and Child's Play, which is Shannon, the MC, Christian, who's one of the sax players, and Sam, who's a trombone player. They started Casual Sets as an offshoot of Child's Play gigs. So like they'd play a Child's Play gig, and then afterwards they'd have like a jam with like essentially whoever was around at the time. And like vice versa, they would, have Casual Sets gigs, and then at the end they'd do their like Koi or Child's Play thing. But then, we started getting way more gigs as just a jam band. And then Child's Play got asked to do a set at X-Ray Cafe in Fremantle, which is now changed into a restaurant. And it's just how shame. It was like a mecca. A real lot of stuff happened there. Hey, well, that was the birth of Koi Child. Asked to do this Child's Play got asked to do a gig, and they got Cash Koi on board, and then at the end they were going to do a Casual Sets jam. But for whatever reason, they just decided that they were enjoying their own vibes as bands and decided just to combine that, and that became like Kevin Parker was there, and then afterwards he was like, that was sick. You should be a band. And so Casual Sets was kind of put on the back burner for a while. But a lot of the Casual Sets gigs we were getting at the time were for the Hustle hip hop night at Mojo's, and the person who ran that, this lady called Meng Jones. She was like to me, love all the stuff in Casual Sets when you were rapping, so maybe you should just get a DJ and start making solo stuff or something, and I'll give you a gig. And it's all right. I'll do that.
Wow.
Okay. But Reese, the drummer from POW, was like, nah, you're not gonna do that. We're gonna be a band, and we're gonna sort our shit out and actually start playing. So after we had like 2 weeks and kind of just came together. We had a different drummer at the time, a friend, Luke Smoker, shout out to Luke, and he ended up having traveling stuff that he wanted to do. So
is Reese, he does the drums and he does vocals as well. And he also can play guitar.
He can play everything.
I've seen a live show, I think at Rosemount, and he would like switch instruments and he would sing, and I'm like, this dude is so fucking talented.
Reese is like responsible for almost half of the songs we've released at the moment, and like or just have written. But I mean, all the guys make amazing stuff. But Reese's, I guess, it's like a really good spot in the sense that it's experimental, but it's also got like a kind of pop sensibility to a lot of the things that he writes.
Yeah, because
works well.
I reckon it's a good contrast. Like it's like you hear his voice come in, and it's like, whoa, this is something a bit different. Powerful voice too. Well,
no pun intended.
Like, is it Money for Portraits that he does quite a lot of vocal work?
Yeah, that's like his song. Yeah, he wrote everything on that song, except for the rap.
Oh, true. Yeah,
but he was pretty much the catalyst for us being a band, really. But it is kind of about the lens of like my perspective as a person of color, and then through, I guess, the influence of the rest of the members, which is kind of like the way like my life is like. Like I live in like Western culture, English inherited culture. So it's like this is kind of how the music is. Like it is still like a black perspective, but over like that colonial history and heritage.
Which is deeply ingrained in Perth, especially.
But I think like at the moment we we're like working on how we want to write music and what we want to write about. And I think like for example, there's been like a lot of bands that we've had as influence. But at the moment, I think the transition from playing smaller shows or having like a very intimate sound to like trying to make something that's really huge and like epic. And I guess like in my mind, always a good example for like a good aiming point is like the Tame live show, in the sense of like how like kind of sweeping and enthralling I find it. Yeah. It's like it's huge, and like just the way that they change up the songs as well. Like I think in one sense, like we're kind of getting ahead of us. Like I get ahead of myself. I'm like, oh fuck, I want to have like this part just like completely extended and just broken down, and then like come back in like But you know, in the sense of we like haven't even released like half the stuff we play now, so it's kind of a bit early to start fucking with the structure.
I'd say fucking go for it. Live, go for it. You already fucking go for it live, man. Fucking the first time I saw you at I went to the free gig at for the Row 8.
Oh yeah, that was
Save the Wetlands show. That was the first time I saw you guys.
Was that was that in Manning Park?
Yeah, like with the little amphitheater.
Yeah,
and it was like all the grass. Yeah. Like at some point, like in the middle of like Huddle Ho, I think that was a song. You just got like started running around the stage, and everyone was just kind of like.
Did a Chris Martin.
And I was like, holy shit. Chris Martin. There I was like, okay, I'm a fan.
That was a good night.
That kind of leads me into this one, which is how much do you think your dad has influenced your stage presence? And I asked this because Molly invited me along to your and Nick's 21st.
True.
And it was speech time, and your dad got up and he was like instantly energized, and you could feel the crowd were like captivated by the way he was speaking. And then he started chanting like, hey, yeah, yo, and like everyone's like singing it back to him. And I'm like, holy shit, like what a contrast to like all the other 21st speeches I've seen where it's like, you know, like, oh, my son Paul, we're very proud of him. He's doing great. Like this speech stuck with me, man. So
sick,
how much, and then obviously having been to your shows and seeing like how you carry yourself on stage, like I just thought, is there a correlation there? Has that been an influence for you? And
for sure, it's probably my biggest influence actually. My dad. Shouts to my dad. My dad is he's been through a fuckload. Not to be like, oh, my dad has done this and he's done that, but just in terms of like the fact that he's still alive is amazing to me. Because he should be dead like many times over.
That's intense.
And in fact, like he's probably like the person you want to talk to. Like if you think like anything I've done is of any interest. Like his life story is just phenomenal.
It's the reason you're here, that sort of thing. Yeah.
And like it's a constant drive to be like to push forward. And the fact he's just kept very positive. He teaches like fine art at all the juvenile prisons, or has done at various times at the moment. I can't remember the one he's at the moment, but he teaches art and music. And he also is a boxer. He was a professional boxer for a number of years in South Africa, but now runs his own gym in Fremantle. And is a musician as well and an artist.
I love that contrast. Arts, boxing. I love that.
He's just incredibly dedicated person to like whatever he's doing, and just tirelessly working. Like he'll be working all day at the prisons and then come home, like play guitar for like 2 hours, then go to the gym, come back home, play guitar, do painting, and like sleep for like 3 hours and then go back and do it. And he's like he's late 50s now.
Jeez.
But when I was growing up, he was performing in a reggae group called the Rugger Beats, and then another band before that called King Dread. And then after the Rugger Beats, he was in a band that was completely his own band called Coachella. And I don't know if you've ever seen me wearing like long like yellow robe or like a green robe. That's what he used to wear when he used to perform, and he used to have this big African flag that he would sort of play around with. Yeah, it's like a very, and like because he would play like his music would be like reggae and like Afrobeat stuff, like super dancey music, and like the energy that music creates is really magnetic and very very feel good. And I think that when he sort of stopped playing, like a lot of bands who were in that kind of wave, because I definitely think that there was a wave of it in maybe the early 2000s, like when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just because I was going to all those gigs as a kid. Like, but I think the vibe of that was like a lot more people got into it, and it's been not as popular lately. But there in maybe possibly a resurgence in the sense of like reggae and like African influenced dance music seems to be finding its way into like maybe like more indie like pop stuff, like I guess like Ocean Alley and just to agree, like
I hit that hard. That's that album Chiaroscuro.
Isn't it every time you say that I'm like, isn't it Shakashkuro? Isn't that how you pronounce it?
I have no idea. Chiaroscuro or something.
Wonderful.
But he was a huge influence on performing, and just has energy and stage presence, and it always seems like when he performs like very spiritual. So I think I always like subconsciously try to channel that and have that in the back of my brain.
Are you referring to him in like the second verse of Flesh Off the Bone?
No, that's not. So
it's more of a general reference.
That verse is actually about some friends that I grew up with in Hamilton Hill.
Okay.
This Sudanese family that were like pretty much my best friends through like all the primary school. I lived like 5 minutes down the road. But in the sense that they all moved over from Sudan, and which was a war-torn country through civil war, and like this, and like even like his kind of, my dad's kind of story. There was like a lot like Mozambique, where my father's from. There was 2 civil wars in his life there, which were like horrific, like really horrific.
Something that we can't really imagine. Like
it's
especially me and Will.
The closest possible if I'm really stretching experience I've ever had was I played soccer all my life, and I used to play for Eritrea in the African Cup of Nations, and I was like the only white guy in the whole team. It was very strange.
You played for them?
And
Oh, I don't know this about your history.
Besides the fact that they were super talented and it was so hard to keep up with these dudes, there was one guy in the team called Michael who would come to the beginning of training with no shoes, like no soccer like studded boots, and his brother was playing at the same time and finished like sort of 15 minutes after we started training, and he'd have to wait until his brother had finished, and then he could take his shoes and then go and train with us. And I distinctly remember coming home one night and saying to Mum, like telling her that story and like crying, thinking like asking her if we could buy him some, so that he could like get going with us when we started. And because that was my first ever experience with like, I guess to a sense like inequality, like realizing that other people don't have the same standards of like livelihoods. And I was so emotional at such a young age, and that was about it. But still quite a powerful thing, and I carried that with me. So I mean,
man, it's like it's hard. It can be very hard for people, but I think there's also beauty in that. Like, it's quite beautiful, like, and like in the sense of bond, like with like a brother or a sister, like to share things like that. I think is important. Like, it sucks sometimes. I've definitely had that. Like, not to that degree, but like, to have to make the best out of a situation, and especially if it's something you love, like, if you like soccer, for example. Like, I know, all that, like, for example, the guys that I wrote the second verse of Flesh about, they're all soccer players, and I think the middle son is I think he's playing soccer at an international level at the moment, and like doing really, really well. But yeah, that song was like about in the sense of the sacrifice, you know, in terms of culture and I guess fitting in, in that particular verse for African migrants. But I think that scenario is felt by a lot of people moving to Australia through multiple generations, even like, you know, from Europe, like the Italian migrants, like, you know, settling in and not speaking the language, or like not having a way of life that's the same as I guess the English colonials. But even then, like life for everyone moving here has usually been generally pretty hard. But I guess the scale of privilege is like where things differ, I guess. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard. But we are lucky, very lucky, and yeah, the essence of Flesh is that we are lucky that we have the liberty to even discuss, you know, say for like issues like toxic masculinity, which in my mind is kind of like why hip hop here is interesting, because in America they have, you know, they have guns, and they have like the drug industry there is pretty hectic, and I guess not as more hectic than it is here.
I was gonna bring that up, the toxic masculinity thing, because I saw that and it was like really refreshing to hear that. You just straight up said, "Oh, why can't we embrace femininity?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's something we've like been talking about for so long." Like, just to talk generally, like I think men like to think masculinity is just for them.
Yeah.
And femininity is just for women, when I think it's just more of a sliding scale of spirituality. It's like masculinity, femininity, that can be for both genders.
Yeah.
And
we both have, it's the yin and yang inside.
Yeah, definitely. And it's I think the assumption is that femininity is vulnerability, and vulnerability equals weakness, when it doesn't at all. Vulnerability is actually like courage. Yeah. And I see that a lot in like American hip hop. Like, I like it. Like I like people like Future, stuff like that. Like,
that aggressive masculine energy is like very intoxicating. I would say like it's because of the circumstances there. Like it has to be so intense. Like, you know, it is so intense. Like and raw. Like whereas here, like there's not really like it's not, the struggle is different. Like, you know, it's not like. There's a lot more opportunity, so that means, you know, like you don't have to be staunch about things, but like I guess people, there's still problems, because obviously like you know, like it, and the problem that we see, like, you know, in the streets, and I guess, you know, in lesser degrees at home and certain family groups and stuff, it seems to be a perpetuated idea of what it is you have to do to be a man, and what you need to do. And if you don't do those things, then you're not validated.
The stakes are pretty high in some communities in America.
For sure.
I mean, like, just Future, for an example, like sings about or raps about, well, sometimes he sings with autotune. Sex, drugs, gang violence. Because a lot of it is like real to him. Yeah, it's the context. But someone, for me, listening to it, I have to be really self-aware about that. It's not something for me to relate to. Yeah, it's just to listen, to hear this narrative, the perspective, to hear this perspective, and it's something definitely not for me to look up to. But it's like, wow, this is a powerful message. This is like someone's real life. Yeah, and I think that's like the hardest thing in the changing climate of music, and like when hip hop comes to Australia, a lot of people trying to emulate that sound and that lifestyle, tell. You know, and it's like we don't have that here, like, you know, and in one sense, like I've been talking to a lot of people about it, and like, you know, some people say like, you know, it's like rapping is like about taking on character, and you know, through rapping about things, you're essentially acting
you know, and you're writing your own story. So like, you know, when people do it here who don't have that experience of that culture, like they're, you know, they would justify it by saying that you know, this is a performance piece, like in a sense. But then I don't know. It's like comes down to like what is the message that we're trying to say here? Like, are you just doing it like, which, you know, should always be in my mind, should always be making things because you want to do that, and making things you don't like, then there's not much point really. Like,
there's got to be substance behind that performance piece. It can't be a performance for the sake of performance. But
then there's always at some point there must be the consideration of, particularly when people are listening, it's like, well, what am I giving to people? You know, like, and I don't know if some people think about that as much as they should, because like, what people say can have huge ramifications, like more than we would like. Some people would like to think, and for like, well, when I wrote Flesh, that was like an attempt to try and say, like, you know, the beat was so raw when I first heard it. I was like, how am I going to write about something other than like, if normally what I would hear over this would be about gang violence, would be about like hardcore drugs.
And that first half kind of is like
struggle of life.
It's kind of like devil's advocate, sort of. As like, a verse.
The first verse was supposed to be like presenting the problem through representing that character and like that, like the ideals involved and the energy behind it, and then the second verse is like is like another look at it, but from a different lens, from I guess like an African Australian coloured perspective, and then it's just like unveiling like what, you know, all those problems within those two things, and then like, and I guess the second verse becomes more specific about, as someone who moves to Australia, the idea of masculinity that we have here, you know, is different is different country to country as well. Like there's definitely similarities, but then the understanding of that, and then the loss of having strong male leaders and role models, or even people who to talk to, you know, about like becoming a man, and like rites of passage, particularly like, you know, kind of like in WA, like even in Australia, our rites of passage are usually through alcohol and like festivals, like, you know, like
that's probably the biggest toxic masculine
and like
theme in Australia is alcohol.
And it's not like, it's like alcohol is good for like time and place,
social rituals,
like lubricant and stuff, but it's also a problem when it gets abused and just treated like, oh, this is a reason that I can just do whatever the fuck I want, and like, I don't have to think about it, the ramifications. So I was drunk, like, you know, people get drunk, people do dumb shit. It wasn't me. Like that's an excuse and it's bullshit, you know. And as easy as like we all go through that, and the hardest thing is that like I know I've been through that thing where like I thought that was an excuse. I thought that was a reason that I could do whatever I wanted to do because everyone else was doing it. But the thing is, we are accountable for our actions, and we have to take responsibility for what we do, and that means we have to be aware of other people as well as ourselves, and that also is like putting the onus on you to make sure you look after yourself, and like, you know, if you like acknowledge if you're struggling, like, and try and seek help, and that's not bad. Like that want to feel all right isn't bad. Like there's a lot of people just like, oh, if you feel bad, just drown it. Like just find something and just keep fucking pushing on. Like obviously you'll have to push on, but like
that's a very Australian thing as well.
If you forget about your problems, like you don't fix them, and it's like, and that's like on a personal level as well as like a social level. There's like a lot of problems that we are taboo or are just too painful to really talk about, or like no one wants to bite that bullet.
Even
you know?
To yourself, you're like deny thinking about problems you have, even with your own brain.
Exactly.
Let alone talking to someone else.
So, and it's hard. And then in a climate where, you know, as males, like there's this constant, you know, silent push and pressure to not do that for some reason. It's like we definitely need to be aware of that. That's a thing, and to question, okay, obviously there's problems.
With the alcohol thing, I'm sure you've experienced this as well, because we've both had periods of like being sober, like for a month or whatever or longer, and there's always a comment like, oh, you're not drinking, like you pussy, or that kind of thing. Which is so Australian and it's so ingrained.
Yeah.
And when you realize it, you're like, oh my God, we're just like poisoning ourselves.
Yeah, we champion it. Like,
you're a fucking champion.
Yeah.
If you
how fucked up did you get?
You smash a funnel, you're a fucking champion.
Like, you know, damn, you did good. That's the one.
I mean, I do have like a 2-second funnel, and I am a champion for that. So
but like, you know, that's like sometimes it is. Sometimes you do need the
that
space, you know, like where you can just feel jovial and silly, and you know, but yeah, it is when, like, particularly when people start drinking and they're in a bad headspace or they have problems that they haven't dealt with. It's like those things make you they do make you vulnerable. Like, they strip your armor away in the sense that it brings up your emotions, you know, to the surface, and kind of like makes you deal with it in a sense. It's like you got to deal with this before you move on. Because like, I don't know if you've ever had that, like being drunk or like on any sort of substance taking. Like, it brings
psychedelic or something.
Psychedelic or something. It'll like bring your emotions or something that you've been suppressing to the front of your mind.
Yeah, and that's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity to deal with it, and it's going to be, you know, sometimes it's really hard, and a lot of the time people aren't in the right space or the right frame of mind to deal with it.
Yeah, they don't have the skills to deal with it. Yeah, when it comes to the surface, they're like, oh, time to push that down.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point on the like alcohol, like bringing out emotions that people might not be dealing with in like their sober life. I've seen people get drunk, they've got things going on, and it brings those emotions on, and they're not ready for it, and they don't want to deal with it, and they're not equipped as well emotionally to deal with it, and like it's bad. I've seen like guys like fly off the handle and have a real bad time just from drinking alcohol and having things going on in their lives. And there's some of the biggest personal challenges that I've overcome as well. It wasn't until I appreciated my vulnerability and I was like, okay, this is going on, I've got to like have a look at that I've actually made some of the biggest positive forward leaps in my life. Like, so there's definitely, where there's vulnerability, there's strength, and there's like improvement and forward, you know, inking and moving forward.
You become aware of your ego.
Yeah.
In a sense,
And I'm pretty good at it now, but even still, I sometimes catch myself out, and that's I might go into meditation, but like sitting down and meditating has always been something where I can
be
like
mindful of that,
check myself out and be like, what's going on?
Yeah, I think that definitely helps you. And you've talked about it, and like it's I think it's something you should keep doing. Yeah,
and I know it's good for me because I know that when there's like a scenario that I'm uncomfortable about or nervous about, like definitely like for today, for instance, if I'm being honest, I knew last night I was like, I need to meditate. Like, I know that's good for me. I know that's going to make me feel better about the situation, and I'm going to be able to handle it and do things better. So there's something there, you know, when you find yourself like being drawn towards something like that.
No, it's definitely very important to reflect and to not just let things flash by. Because otherwise, it's very easy to get carried away.
Do you indulge in any of these self-care practices like meditation or float tanks or anything like that?
Yeah, I've been to a float tank. I really enjoyed it when I went. Float Fremantle. It was actually how funny. I didn't think that there'd be a float tank around.
Yeah.
I was watching that film. Have you ever seen Altered States?
No.
Maybe somewhere on YouTube.
It's like a I think it's like 90s or maybe like 80s.
Yeah.
But it's like a film about this guy going to like the Amazon and finding. It's pretty much like, I think, like ayahuasca or something, but like maybe a bit different in the film. But then he comes back to his university and decides that he thinks he's found like some key to like the evolution of man, and he starts taking this psychedelic inside this float tank, and it just sort of turns into a horror film. The premise of it was interesting.
Shit.
But that floating was really, really calming and made my thoughts very clear to me. I guess it doesn't like any kind of like float tank or taking a substance or whatever. Like, you know, it every time you do it's different. I'd sort of feel like, you know, and it doesn't work the same for everyone.
Yeah.
It definitely is different every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally feel that.
But I've definitely had experiences where, you know, my thoughts have become very clear to me, and it's been like a thing, like an analyzation of, you know, where am I at? Like, what do I need to address? Like, what, you know, what do I want to go? Like, what do I want to do? And yeah, then other times it's just like, you just need that space to not think about anything and just to be zen. But yeah, I was saying earlier that like I have it's like mushroom season now. And like I've always found like mushrooms a very solid way of doing that if I don't have a float tank around.
It's like float tank but times 100.
And like that's not to say I do that like a lot. Like it's very like maybe once a year. I just have like a reset and then sense of just
reset. That's
might head down to Ballingup next month maybe.
But yeah, it's even funny. Like,
I mean, no, we won't.
Yeah,
that was a joke.
God, no.
Just edit that out.
We're definitely not going there to pick mushrooms. And go to the medieval festival.
Oh man,
But it's funny. Like my housemates had a party last night and they were all on mushrooms, and it was kind of like a funny night for it. Like it was really like super stormy. Like can't really leave the house. I mean, you could if you wanted to get wet, but like I don't know. And then just like this, like socially taking psychedelics. Versus like, I would preferably just take them by myself, like either in nature or just like meditate on them.
Yeah, a few weeks ago I went to the beach at night by myself, just like improv, just decided to go, and that was the best experience. Because you don't have to worry about someone else's sort of feelings and what like oh, are they doing all right? Because I get like that because I'm like, I can handle myself, but like I hope that other person's all right, they're not going to freak out.
It becomes like an external experience rather than like an internal like reflection on yourself, which is, you know, sometimes there is lots of things to be learned from like what's around you and other, you know, you're just like in terms of your relationships with people, like I guess it makes you think about that a lot more. And experience, like it is great to experience stuff with friends and family, but depending sometimes on how you're feeling, sometimes you do
that journey. Almost like a rite of passage, actually. I think
exactly. And it's
vision quest.
That's really interesting at the moment. Like I'm writing a song about that sense that I know a lot of people I know and like myself, like I've found my rite of passage through psychedelics. Well, I felt like that, and maybe that wasn't the best place to go. But in the sense that like what in this day and age in our society, where do you go for your rite of passage and how do you become a man and like how do you deal, like, you know? And I think everything's very daunting, but there's some sort of solitude and something to be found. That I've found anyway.
There's a third wave going on right now with psychedelics, like a clinical integration of it into people's psychic lives. Definitely.
Do you like microdosing or like?
Yeah, everything, like using it for PTSD and stuff. There's like trials going on in America, like very close to becoming like proper therapies. Like approved. It's growing.
So I think it's been a long time coming. I think it's like a lot of people have always kind of known or like felt like that. Or there's been like a lot of underground research and like it's pretty much how it is, but you know, for whatever reason in terms of government, like that's just not.
Nixon kind of crushed that shit, and Reagan and that.
The 60s.
And now it's kicking off again.
The 60s counterculture.
Kind of scared everyone a bit.
That's the thing about the third wave. Obviously, the first wave being the application of psychedelics in like indigenous tribes and things all across the world. The second wave was the 60s counterculture, and then the third wave now is, I think they've been really, not they, but
clinical.
The way that it's being framed in society has been framed in such a way that people are accepting it a lot more, because it's like the idea of microdosing helping you in a professional setting and having more than just a hippie kind of attachment to psychedelics.
Even though hippies are fantastic.
Practical. Like, making it, well, it's almost just like, as long as it's like contributing to the world's economy going well, like that, all right, bring it in. Like,
we'll take it.
It'll save so much money for mental health. Mental health right now is like dealt with really poorly with very like narrow pharmaceutical drugs, like selective serotonin.
It's a shame though that for these kind of abstract
reuptake inhibitors,
ideas in society, for them to be integrated into like mainstream acceptance, it has to have some kind of economic value. It's like you just feel the fucking like that capitalist fucking train just rolling along, and if it doesn't benefit it, then it's like kids throw it out the window, man.
Actually, it's that masculine and feminine thing again, because exploring your consciousness is like a vulnerable thing, and that's feminine. And people are, oh, I don't want that. I'd rather crush my feelings with alcohol. So that stigma needs to be flipped.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet that to find out that Dusty Martin floats.
Oh yeah. Oh, I told you that. Yeah, their entire team. Yeah.
Who's Dusty Martin?
Oh, he's he won the Brownlow last year.
Oh, true.
Plays for Richmond. Yeah,
true.
And the whole team they won the grand final last year, and they all do. Last year they did meditation as a team throughout the whole year.
Wow.
I was like, wow.
There you go.
Yeah,
so meditate, win a like grand final.
Bringing us, especially in a team, like having rituals that involve everybody, and you are in as close as you can be, because if you're trying to do something together, you don't want to be all in different pages.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's the same with the band. Like when we warm up, we always have like small rituals just before we go on stage, where we like all breathe together, and we have like this little counting game, like where we'll have to count to like 21, like our eyes closed, and like no one can say the same number as anyone else, and like can't do it. Like if you're in a circle, if you say 1, the next person can't say 2. It has to be someone completely different. So you just have to wait for it to come and like take your time and not rush.
It gives me anxiety right now. I'm terrible at those games.
It's really good though. It's just like the thing is, you just have to surrender and just breathe, and just like you have to be present, man.
Yeah. It sounds like you all get into like a group flow state sort of thing.
Yeah. Because then once you're playing together, like that needs to translate on stage as well. Like if everyone's in different, I mean, it's hard to get everyone on the same page, because the atmosphere is
sometimes chaotic.
And there's heaps happening, and people have lots of things to do with the instruments, and but it's important that to aim for that, because when it's like that, the bubble, like there is a bubble of cohesion, and I think whatever we're trying to do comes over stronger or more clearly.
The audience can tell when that kind of thing
I think
comes together.
Definitely, as an audience member, not for our own shows, but like at other people's gigs, like when I watch a band who is all, they're looking at each other and they're all in it together. Yeah. Like they might not even be like necessarily, it works better if they're acknowledging the audience, but like sometimes they are in their own thing and they lead by example. I mean, they lead by example. Yeah. And it catches on into the audience and like, fuck it, yeah, I do that too. Yeah.
That's something I've felt as like an audience member as well, is that whole, you're looking at the band and you can feel that they're like projecting energy onto you, and you get that feeling, like you look around at the people in the audience and you're like, we're a part of something like bigger here. Like there's something psychologically about like these kind of mass like congregations of people where there's something that we're all drawn to.
It's like spiritual. It's like communion, it is just another kind. Like, and I think like the combination of sound just
movement and stuff.
That is a release, whether it's just like you're sweating out like heaps of, you're sweating everything out, and like emotionally, like as a performer, like you have the power to kind of direct where that goes and like what it is exactly you're releasing. And I guess like in a that's like where like crafting a good set comes into play, and like really thinking about what sort of energy do I want to bring, like what atmosphere, what space are we making here? And like there's every kind of space that is imaginable to make. Yeah. But I mean, I guess if you just think about your favorite musicians and in the sense of like, what do they do for you? Like where do you go? And like, sometimes it can be too much to like think about. Like maybe that's not always the point. Like maybe it is just about like rocking up, and then like it becomes apparent as you go. And you just have to keep trying. And it's a process of elimination. But yeah, sometimes it is always good to think about, in my mind, this like the stage and the space that we are in, and that's also has a lot to do with then how people digest what is being said and performed. Yeah. And I mean, I did theatre for a long time, more like, pretty much until I started playing music, I was doing theatre. since a young kid, and yeah, theatre's like it feels like it's a dying art form. Like there's definitely, maybe that's just in Perth. I know there's so many great theatre makers in Perth, but like in the sense that people don't really seem to go to the theatre. I don't hear about theatre shows as much as I would hear about a band or a film or art even sometimes, you know.
I mean, I've been to a live podcast more times than I've been to a theatre show. So,
and you know, theatre can be really powerful. Like, and I think, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't really consider myself a part of the theatre community at the moment, like I was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, a little bit, not to any like really huge degree, but in the sense that I was in plays and I was studying it. But it does seem like, you know, say at the State Theatre Company, like there seems to be a gap or a barrier in terms of the audience. Like, you know, I mean, exactly, like in the sense of how many people do you know who go to the theatre anymore?
Yeah.
You know?
No, couldn't name
no one.
Really,
No one. It's which is sad, but like in the sense that, like music, you know, even in like throughout history, it was a catalyst for like ideas being put out. Like it was pretty much what film is now. But even now, film, I feel, has lost its. People don't digest it the same. Like, and it's the same with all art. The digestion of a lot of old mediums of putting out messages seems to be dying. And like maybe that's to do with like technology and like having a phone with you. Like you have so much vast information at your fingertips. It's like, how do you capture people's attention? How do you deliver them something that they're actually going to chew on and digest? Yeah. And, you know, how do you get people to actually not just see it as a just trivial kind of like, oh, it's a cool song. Like, this is nice. Like, oh, it's a nice piece of art. Like, I really like how the colors do this and that. Like, and actually, you know, is there a place for that anymore in the sense of like, oh shit, wow. I never, you know, or maybe is it as people, as artists, that the ideas are just, you can't really spend as much time anymore because everything's just like turn over so quick. Like there's 100 million things to look at. So I'm just going to pivot it for a second and no one cares if it's like, an idea that's been brewing for 100 years and it's actually like there's so much in it, but it's just I don't have time for it. I can't really, you know, it's cool. Like, yeah, great, move on. And then, in the moment I'm thinking it's more about the crossover of mediums, you know, like we're in that era, like just even, for example, in music, like with POW, like the genres that are mixed up, I would say there's quite a lot of different influences, like maybe not influences that we would have recognized as direct influences, but, you know, there's a lot of different sounds that you would maybe allocate to other musicians. And, you know, even that, like we're in an era now, it's like this, has everything been done? Like, is it really now just about like reflecting on what has happened and taking, I like this, I like that. What happens when I go like this? And pull them together. And that's new, you know, and it's the same with art. It's the same with film. Like, have you heard about, I think it was Christopher Nolan's talking about this new technology he's about to bring out, and it's about taking film, like camera film, and like chemically enhancing it. So like the actual film that they used,
the actual real,
the actual real film, not digitally like tampering with it. So it is actually, and they want to do it with 2001 Space Odyssey. It's like coming out, I think, at the end of the year or next year. So it's exact film, but the quality is.
So they changed like the color of it, or just sort of like, sort of the look, the dynamic.
I think it's the look, like so all like it's all the production value and everything is the same, but it's just like it's. I don't know. The best way I could kind of describe it is like when you see like an old war photo where everything's in black and white. And then I think there was like there's a film recently where they put color to it. But I guess they'd probably do a bit more to it than that. But it's in that same vein. Like it's like pulling it into the present technology.
Oh, so this is like old film.
Yeah, it's like the exact film, or almost that they used for 2001 Space Odyssey.
I love this. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they're putting and so that's what he reckons the new trend is going to be. We're not going to make that many new films anymore. We're just going to vamp all these old films. Yeah, so like, imagine like going to like Alien or I mean, there's so many films from like, I guess the 70s would have been like maybe the key place where there was like the production, especially like in terms of sci-fi, like the production value was amazing.
Yeah.
But it's like the quality is like really grainy, or like, which is also really, I actually really like that.
You appreciate that, like, yeah.
That kind of retro looking vibe. Just that could be, that's like the potential future of film. It's like revamping old stuff, you know, like bringing all these old things back to the forefront.
Would you welcome that? Would you appreciate that? Or would you be like, it's kind of altering this like nostalgic view that you have of certain films?
Yeah, but I think there's like, it's kind of, it goes back to that thing of, I feel like our generation and the generations that have come after like us, there's this thing of like, they never saw any of that. Like they don't have, there's so much great music that's on vinyl that like people would just be like, nah, fuck, I don't care about that. Or like just because of maybe like the current status quo of what good music is, or like, you know, it's old music, I don't want, that's my parents' music, I don't care about that anymore. Yeah. You know, but there is still like a lot of power in all those things. And by making it new again, we would somehow
reintroduce that.
And then maybe there is actually a lot of relevancy in those things for this, you know, and it does seem to kind of feel like there's just like a lot of history is just cycles repeated over and over again, and that like maybe we haven't actually done that much new. There hasn't been that much new.
Yeah, I mean, even hip hop, like they take like samples from like decades gone past. And just like constantly go through,
and it's kind of evolution. Like, you know, everything is just the add on, and kind of remember what happened back there, and
because I feel like we're all just taking it from the collective consciousness. You know, like we're just taking it and like recycling it through. Like it's not coming from nowhere. It's like we have to take inspiration from things that have already gone past. Yeah.
Back on the that whole idea of people looking at things and not having time and getting bored. It's like that rapid fire attention span. It's like my biggest beef with people right now, like in general. And it's not directed at anyone in particular. It's just
you're attacking me.
Like, that's like something that we're concerned about, obviously working in the podcast like field. Like, how do you get someone to sit down and listen for an hour and a half to
have very interesting content?
And people, if it's not like 5 seconds, that's over, like they get their little dose of dopamine on their screen and then it's done. Like they're not interested, and it really bothers me, not just because it's in our interest that people be interested in podcasts, but like where's the substance in that? Like what message can be conveyed in 5 seconds? Like
because kids right now, like my brother, he's 13. Shit, I should know that. Like they'll watch a YouTube video and there's like a reaction thing happening to it as well in the corner. So it's like they're even substituting their personal reaction and inner thought to that content with someone else's. Do you know what I mean? Like the Gogglebox thing.
Like
you remember
they're forfeiting their own opinion of what they're looking at and giving it to someone else to tell them how they should feel almost.
Yeah, so like that's an example of how media is just like really fucking changing. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's interesting,
and it is definitely about that whole dopamine. It's like music is like that. Like I feel like a lot of pop music these days is just about a little instant hit. And,
it's formulated to be like that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think definitely, like, you know, everything has its place. Like there's, you know, even I don't mind pop music, like that kind of pop music, but just not all the time. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you do need that kind of thing, but it's like it always seems to come back to the abuse of something, or like the overindulgence.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
If that's all you're taking in, then you're not really going to get much variety of.
All I can say to people is like, find something that's got a bit of meat to it, like some content, and push it and take it, like go with it, be patient, because I think that if you enjoy that dopamine hit from 5 seconds of watching like someone stack it on a motorbike or something, like go and find something with substance, sit there and engage, because I think it can take you to another like almost a euphoric kind of place if it's the right thing. And it's like uncharted territory for a lot of people now, because they're just living in that superficial world where they're not really pushing it far enough.
Dopamine cycle is a good way to put it. Yeah, it's just like hit.
I guess we haven't, like our brains aren't really
definitely
ready for this growth of technology and wealth of information. So, and almost like on an organic structural level, like how do we even deal with this? Like it is hard. Like,
yeah, I mean, humans we've had hundreds of thousands of years to evolve. Forget about it on the cellular level, like billions of years. And how long have we had like portable screens to watch shit? Like what, like 5 years?
Yeah.
10 years?
10 years.
Yeah. Biologically, it's like nothing. So we really need to like have some strategies to figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we just need to start integrating more with technology and then just
yeah.
need to get a little bit AI up in here, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that in the last episode with Chris from Humtech. Like, is technology an other, or is it a part of us manifested from the inside out and we're actually evolving with it? It's like,
yeah, I don't know. Hey, I mean, I always kind of feel like the whole thing of, talking to some people like, oh, you know, if we make AI, like that chance, or like having the singularity, and that, you know, it would become smarter than us and just exponentially, and then we're screwed if it decides, you know, we're no longer really
like necessary.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. It could be really detrimental, but potentially I feel like we need to be first evolving ourselves with that technology before we start making other technology that could potentially be smarter than us.
Yeah.
You know, in the sense that if we start integrating with elements of artificial augmentation, like, we're progressing with it. But if we don't do that, then we're going to kind of be like superseded potentially, or
there needs to be strategies for that.
Yeah, but at the same time, like the ethics and like how that would actually work. Obviously, I'm not a scientist.
There's people working on that shit right now. Yeah. Singularity might have already happened, by the way.
True.
Maybe we are that trigger.
Yeah, in the virtual reality.
We're already starting to pull ourselves away from nature.
Yeah,
we're a completely self-aware organism. So
true.
Shit. Damn.
It's a wild ride, that's for sure. Like, where's it all going? It's fun to think about, but
my partner, she has a friend who's an advisor to a senator, and she was saying that this senator has been getting like multiple emails from environmental scientists telling him that in the next 40 to 50 years, like there'll be 5% of the flora and fauna that we have at the moment left. Which is like fucking, and that he's like completely ignoring all the messages he's been getting.
Yeah,
because choosing to not release it, any of it. Yeah,
he probably doesn't see it firsthand, right? He probably doesn't see like things dying off in front of him. So you kind of can get detached from that.
Yeah,
even though like currently we are in a mass extinction, like the 6th or 7th mass extinction that's happened on the earth, and it's our fault.
Yeah.
Oops.
That sort of fits in again with that whole idea of it doesn't have economic value, it's disregarded. I think the environment suffers the most from that kind of mindset.
But they can't see that far in the future, because there's going to be huge effects from like islands are going to be like just swept away, and there's going to be mass migration.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was watching Children of Men. Have you guys seen that film, Children of Men?
It sounds familiar.
By Alphonse Cuarón. Man, amazing film. One of my favorite films, one of the best films I've ever seen. Is made in like 2006. But yeah, like Alphonse Cuarón did like Prisoner of Azkaban, and like Gravity. But he's like the master of like just making these like ridiculously long, uncut, interrupted shots, just with like crazy shit happening. Like and particularly in Children of Men, there's like one scene that's just like insane. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's really dark, but it's about like around like, I think now, like it was in 2006, but it's set about now, or maybe like a few years later. And like the last child was born in 2009, and everyone's infertile.
Okay.
And like all the countries in the world have like collapsed except for Britain, and like Britain's like the last sort of working society. But everyone's trying to get in, and there's heaps, and like the government just like pretty much puts them into like concentration camps.
Whoa.
Yeah, and there's this girl who becomes pregnant, and this guy has to take her to a safe place to have this baby and raise this child. It's intense. It's so good. But yeah, the whole idea of all these people migrating because of their countries being destroyed is like such a emerging. It's going to happen. Like in the sense that it already is happening in Australia. Like so many countries already like war torn that we have Manus and all those fucked up offshore detention centers like that we don't even really hear. Like we hear about them, but we don't really hear about them at all. So and man, you have to watch Children of Men because the political reflection is just so spot on. And there's so many scenes, like the detail that is actually put into the film of the sets and just like all this like it's fucking amazing. And the soundtrack's sick, like all 60s, like King Crimson, Pink Floyd. There's like there's some awesome Pink Floyd references. With Flying Pig.
Definitely watch that. That sucks that Britain's the only country left when they've been colonialists for like hundreds of years and they're like they're the ones that
have you guys ever heard of f.k.a?
f.k.a.
He's a rapper from the UK and he's like a historian now, and he does like a lot of interviews and talks about like ancient Egypt and like reshaping like understanding about how we view ancient Egypt and
like the timeline of things that happened,
and then like
that's interesting.
Like the African presence in ancient Egypt, and then how we portray it now as I guess well, if you see like films like Gods of Egypt, it's like
oh god, that piece of shit. Like what was it? Who's in it?
Christian Bale is that the guy from Australia?
Shit, what's his name?
He's in Animal Kingdom.
But
anyway,
damn,
Joel Edgerton.
Edgerton
or Edgerton,
Edgerton,
but as like pretty much English. So like even like with like the whole biblical kind of context that like most of the people in that would have been Middle Eastern, not blonde hair, blue eyed, like and even that representation of Jesus is like I think he's like Spanish or something, or he's the son of a pope, I'm pretty sure.
It's amazing the cultural bulldozing like Anglo-Christian and society is
the way like history is warped pretty much in the way that the winner, in the way that the winner, whoever writes it, is warped in their perspective. Yeah,
we have our calendar as Christian calendar.
Yeah, that's a weird thing.
Holy shit!
Like, whoa.
Yeah, and that even like the Indigenous Australians have like a 6-month calendar.
Oh yeah, it's way better.
Yeah, or that
the seasons.
It's like seasons. Yeah,
specific.
6-month seasons.
Yeah.
6 seasons.
6, yeah.
Interesting.
But and that like that is specific to this country. So I don't know. It's kind of funny that we don't acknowledge that because it probably would work better and make more sense. But I guess like and that's kind of comes back to the thing about thinking about the circumstances we're in and what we take on and what we leave behind. And reflecting is very important.
Yeah,
I think. F.k.a, going back to F.k.a. F.k.a was saying that England is in like its last sort of time. It's like the dynasty of England is coming to an end pretty much, and that like a lot of the colonial countries are like getting rid of that occupation, and it's now returning to being this small island. And I guess like the Brexit and like coming out of the EU and stuff, it's like really taken its own stance.
Yeah,
and I guess China
are the big dogs now.
Yeah, China are the big dogs.
I don't know what they're going to do.
No, gold. They just want lots of gold by the sounds of it.
Lots of gold.
Just
they want
quickly,
all our iron.
Just before we move on, f.k.a, how do you spell that? Just so I can...
f.k.a.
Sweet. Got that. And what was that film you told me to watch before we started?
Before we started?
It was like Boy by...
Boy, yeah. By the guy... what's his name? If you just look up Boy...
It was the same director as Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, I've got a bit of a list here now to...
because I used to work in a video store for like 5 years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
In my high school, it's a video store called Starland Video.
Oh, so an independent one.
It's like I think it's the last video store in Fremantle.
Oh, it's still around?
Still there.
Well,
I think
congrats.
they're very close to shutting down. I don't work there anymore, but I used to that was like pretty much all I would do in high school, was just smash videos, like several a night. And kind of got to the point where everything blurred. I don't really remember very much, but.
Have you seen Birdman?
Yeah.
Talking about like the continuous shot.
Yeah, Alexander Inarritu or something.
Yeah. That's wild.
Wild. Yeah. Children of Men is like the shot in that film is very similar to a lot of the Birdman stuff.
I love the way it's done. It's so
he's great.
It's so easy to watch. It's just things keep going and it's all happening and
it is.
I remember watching an interview with Zach Galifianakis. He was in that, right? Yeah. About being in that, and he's a comedian, so he was like, I was so fucking stressed about filming that movie because I'm not a trained actor. Yeah. And I had to like keep the script for like half an hour, like keep it going. I can't imagine that, like, because you would ruin the shot.
Really goes into like theater, I guess, like, you know, where you have to you know, you're on the whole time, like, and it's intense. It's like, because it's like not only like, I guess Birdman, the cast wasn't huge, so I feel like a lot of those really long one shot scenes, whereas like the scene in Children of Men, like there's like a building being shot like by tanks and like exploding and like people running everywhere, like, and just to make sure that all the extras are like not fucking up, let alone like the main guy, or like, and little, you know, like all the explosives firing at the wrong time. If you fuck it once, I'm pretty sure the scene goes for like, feels like almost 10 minutes. Like, you know, they don't cut, and it's just hectic, man. Like hectic. Yeah, it's insane. You know, it's insane how. And I always wonder how they even manage a lot of time and a lot of focus from everyone involved. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of film production is like time management.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
This was something we were talking about the other day about, like, you'll be shooting a scene on like a big production and you've got like 100 people off set with their roles, and that it's all culminating in your ability as the actor to produce that one moment on camera. Yeah. That's stressful.
So stressful. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to do film. I studied it and graduated from it. Yeah. And that was a big part of it. Yeah. Just keeping everything organized. Yeah. Not just being like performing, like nailing the script. It was like
just everything else to get it to that point.
Yeah. Not only timing of things on camera, but like getting everyone together on time, getting all the talent together.
Yeah. And then that whole situation of having a group of people, like, you know, that the team, you have to be working with people who are on the same page, and to get like one person on the same page, let alone like 50 or however many more, like, is intense. Like, there's always, you know, like to get everyone's egos to you know, get along and to work in cohesion. It's like that's the real magic. You know, if you can find a group of people and everyone feel comfortable like that, and, you know, it's always going to be daisies, but like, and maybe it does come down to like everyone being open. Like, some people are going to have bad days, but, you know, as long as you're all on the same page trying to work together to balance everything out, like it'll run, you know.
Shouts out to all the assistant directors out there.
Yeah, shout outs.
And who else? Set designers.
Thanks. But that's the thing, like the film industry is you know, one of the best industries in the sense that for jobs, because it just covers so many fields, like, you know, in terms of like, you know, backstage catering, or like behind the scenes, they're making costumes, even just like getting like location to location, and then, you know, like it just makes so many jobs. And but I guess at the moment there's not really that much money in Australia anyway being put into
definitely
to having. I remember when the Matrix was coming out and stuff. There was apparently, it was on the Gold Coast, like Warner Brothers. They had like a studio, and there's like a lot of films being made. And I think I remember hearing that it was something to do with like taxes in making films were like really low. And the government made that so that more films are being made here. To like,
I wonder if that was a Labor government.
I'm not sure, but I know that now that's not really or doesn't seem to be a thing anymore.
I feel like the arts in this country are, under the current government, I don't want to get too political, but it's being stifled a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, I mean, the ABC, their budget is cut like every year. It's getting pretty fucking ridiculous.
Well, there's that 3 million that they just put into the local music scene recently.
Oh, so there's like some things that are going.
That's like the first thing that's happened in a while.
Okay.
And I was saying before that I think Netflix, there's like a push to like get Netflix to start making country specific shows and set up I guess a studio or just a platform for like more shows and films to be made here through Netflix.
That would work because it's all online. You could just, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, and it would. Yeah, there's such a great industry here.
Yeah,
you know, so many people, but they all end up moving. Like even in Perth, like end up moving to Melbourne. Melbourne end up moving to America or the UK. You know, it's very rare. It feels these days that, you know, I just haven't really seen that much. Like maybe that's, you know, just because people's tastes are for Hollywood films now more than ever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah.
An Avengers movie every 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. So many huge fucking
rehashed.
Yeah. Well, there's more Avatar films coming out.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Like, what was it, the highest grossing film ever?
All time, yeah.
Avatar. It's pretty
I feel
good.
like I might have been kicked out of that spot by now, though.
Oh, by Avengers or something.
Possibly, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Possibly though. But yeah, yeah, it's huge. The industry of escapism.
Yeah,
it's good.
That's a very ingrained thing in human DNA.
Yeah. Well, video games, I guess, as well, like becoming huge. Like, I wonder what the future of all that stuff is going to be. Like VR and
oh god.
Yeah. Have you guys done much VR?
I've never done it. I really want to do it though.
We talk about it a lot, but we don't. We don't have any first-hand experience.
We theorize a lot.
My mum's like best friend, her nephew has he started I think the first VR like kind of like Qzar, like where you have like a big warehouse and like you run around
like an arcade sort of style.
Yeah. But he had the first VR company where you actually run around like shooting zombies in like a big warehouse with the goggles on.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was hell funny. It was like I think they started like two or 3 years ago, and I remember I was talking to him just after they'd started up. He said they had reservations for like a year. Like couldn't get in for a year. It was just
whereabouts does this all?
In Melbourne somewhere.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's classic. But yeah, it's huge.
It's next level escapism.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you can't distinguish between organic reality and digital reality, even though we kind of live in a sort of rudimentary virtual reality.
Yeah, but even just being able to like create stuff in like 3D space, like I was thinking about the other day. It's like it's kind of like Pokemon, like that Pokemon Go thing. So I reckon that didn't kick off because you couldn't actually just stick the thing on your head and like actually just have Pokemon in your everyday reality. You know what I mean? Like if you had those goggles on all the time, you could technically just make everything Pokemon. Like,
it was still like tethered to old technology. Old as in like not like decades old, but like
you still had to be like going through something. Or there was just like more layers to go through. So like it wasn't just like always there.
Yeah. No real interaction.
Yeah,
it's like you throw the ball at it, but
it's like just like within the game of the glasses, just like have AI Pokemon just like roaming around in like a completely mapped world of virtual world. Be great. I'm waiting. That's my dream.
That shit was wild when it first came out.
I know, it was so funny, man.
I went to King's Park and it was just like
everyone's just like this.
It's insane. It's like I was gonna reference a Pokemon, but I couldn't fucking remember what Pokemon. It was just like more people I've ever seen at King's Park.
Yeah, it's funny. They're not even experiencing the park, really. They're just experiencing their phone. Yeah,
there's people wearing the War Memorial and shit, just like catching Pokemon on fucking plaques and shit. Yeah,
crazy.
I always talk about something like I feel like it's going to enable so many people to really lose grip of reality, but at the same time, I always think like for people that are like paraplegic and stuff, who can't go out and have a full experience of life. Like VR is going to be such a wonderful thing. People with like MS and stuff that, you know, they can't move, they can't even like talk, like to put goggles on and go into a world and be able to like live somewhat of like a life for a little portion of their day. Like how wonderful would that be?
That's a good point, because I remember hearing people talking about like it would be it would bridge the gap for like things that you can't really empathize with. Like you could go into a VR situation, experience something that you never really could yourself.
Yeah.
So you could have empathy for like
real.
Yeah.
You could like go into like you could actually go into like a war torn area and like experience like some like firsthand like what's
something
going
like
on,
that,
like and come out and be like and have like a new perspective and be like, whoa, like shit.
Yeah.
That's out there. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Useful application.
Yeah. So the good with the bad.
But I guess it could go definitely the other way. Like you could just be like playing a video game, but actually be like a real soldier and just be like shooting people.
Yeah.
Or like just be like in a virtual goggles, but like controlling like a robot.
Yeah.
And it's like everything becomes like like bedroom warfare, like which I guess drones and stuff kind of already is, but like on the ground.
Bedroom warfare. Wow. It's a good phrase.
Band name.
Yeah, hectic.
Japan's already up on this shit, I think.
Yeah, man, I'm pretty clueless to be honest. Like, there's so much to know, but
people are already having full relationships
with robots
in VR, I reckon.
True. I think. Or with VR. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Oh man,
I just find it really hard to believe in, like where actually are, how far have we actually come? Like,
where are we?
Everything just seems like, even the knowledge that I've found, or like information I've found, it's like, how true is that? Like, how old is that knowledge? Like, you know, I guess as a civilian, like, I'm never really probably gonna know.
Yeah, like what has happened in the past? Is it like what filters have been put on everything that I know now? What the fuck is going to happen in the future?
Yeah,
it's like everything except for the current moment. The present moment is a bit scrambled.
Yeah, so we should just live in the present, man.
Live in the present.
That's it.
Don't worry about what's going to happen and what's happened in the past.
Oh, well, it's been a solid chat.
Yeah,
it's been good. We covered so much shit, man. I guess.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, I mean, we could keep going, but yeah.
No. I could rant about nutrition or something.
Is there anything you wanted to mention about, like, you know, anything coming up soon that you want to plug?
We
changes with the band.
Next Thursday, half of POW and like a few guys from Koi, and then other friends from like the music scene, doing a casual sets gig, which is like kind of how we all started. It's just like jamming.
Yeah.
At the J Shed in Fremantle on Thursday, 15th of June. Yeah. Yeah, and then we've got a few other people playing. There's I'm not exactly sure the lineup. Naomi from Mosquito Coast is doing her solo stuff under the name Playground.
Yep.
And then there's a really sick Afrobeat band called Shangara Jive, who are like kind of from my dad's era of reggae and Afro influenced music. But yeah, it's a tree planting festival fundraiser. So at the end of June, there's like a big, well, it's not big, but it's like there's a festival that they have in the wheat belt where they the festival revolves around planting trees. Yeah, so like during the day, they just plant seedlings. And then at night time they have parties.
Yeah,
and music. Last year they planted 33,000 trees.
Shit.
In 3 days.
Damn, that connection with nature and music, that sounds like a perfect
perfect, yeah.
Perfect
it's like
marriage.
Good vibes, you know, it's like not, you know, the cause is about the cause.
Yeah.
Rather than just like, let's just get fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so we're fundraising for that. That's the next POW thing, I guess. I'm working on an EP at the moment that we were making, so we just decided we're going to release that hopefully in like some point before the end of the year.
Yeah, and then you've got Jasmine and Licorice, which is out, and people can Cop that on Spotify.
Yeah.
Well worth a listen, guys.
Yeah, the new stuff's definitely going to be quite different to Jasmine Licorice.
Okay.
Less
Cool.
rock and roll,
Yeah.
I would say, and more kind of beatsy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it until August. We'll probably be doing a few more shows, going over east.
And if people want to keep in touch and follow you guys, where are they going to go? Facebook,
Instagram,
Vine.
So Facebook
what was
at
that?
POW Negro. Vine.
Vine. Yeah, we don't really have any vines at the moment, but
Instagram at POW Negro. Is it just
yep.
POWNEGRO? Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been such a great chat.
Check out my Instagram
What's that? What is it?
at based_Lachlan G. I made it like 6 years ago.
Sick.
Yeah. Vintage.
When I was like listening to Lil B and shit, I was like, yeah, based.
Oh, man. All right. Sweet chat, man. Thanks for coming in. This has been awesome.
No, thanks
I
for having
love
me.
it.
See ya.